Welcome to People Doing Good for Others, where we celebrate, praise, and honor those who truly are making a significant difference in our communities. I'm Gary York, and I'm grateful for this opportunity. We want to thank Wilkes Communications, RiverStreet Productions, and 100.9 WIFM for this opportunity. Our featured guest today is Chris Skabo. He's a 24-year veteran of the Wilkes County Schools. He's the athletics director and also in charge of healthful living in this community. And I'm grateful that you're here with us today, Chris, and we want to do an overview of all the things that are involved in your oversight with the Wilkes County Schools and Wilkes County. So thank you for being here. And if you'd go back to growing up in Greensboro and just a few moments of your preparation to go to Appalachian and to be a coach and a teacher and an administrator.
Sure. Thanks for having me, Gary. I appreciate this opportunity. I was a very fortunate kid, I guess, growing up, rural Guilford County, probably about 8 miles outside the city limits in a community called Forest Oaks. Forest Oaks is kind of famous for having a PGA Tour stop, and so I had a great childhood. I had great supportive parents, in traditional, I guess, family where the father worked, and I was fortunate for my mother to be able to stay home and help raise us, and had 2 sisters, an older and a younger, so I was the middle one and a boy. So, but it was just a great experience being able to grow up in that community because we were close enough to the city where you could experience a lot of things, but also out in a rural area like that too. Reminds me of the foothills, so out in the country. So it really was a great place to grow up. And then, of course, I had a high school career at Southeast Guilford, and then went on to college. Finished up went to Appalachian State and got a degree in special education, and then got out and started teaching first in Hickory schools for Catawba County for 2 years, and then moved back to Wilkes County where my wife Jody is from, and so I've been here ever since.
Wow. Chris Skabo, your calling to be an educator, was there a period in life or a moment, or you said, this is the person I want to be? Yeah,
my coaches were real influential on my life. Had some really good coaches through my middle school through high school, and really thought about, I love sports, but also I had an opportunity, back then we had study halls in high school where you take 5 classes, and then you would go into a class, you'd work on your homework or whatever for your other classes, but you really weren't a part of that class. And I was put in a special education class with my baseball coach, and I got to tutor some kids one-on-one when he needed me to, and really that kind of opened my eyes, and I really enjoyed that, really helping out kids like that, and touched me so much, I guess. I felt the calling to go into coach and also, work with kids with special needs, and that's where I started out. That's how I got.
So this mentor friend, the baseball coach, was that pivot, that person that really touched you in a special way, and then you were on the way to doing good things for people, and we're grateful for that.
Thank you, Gary. Yes, I appreciate that.
We've talked about your career track, and you came here 24 years ago, and just touch on that a little bit.
Well, of course, I said my wife's from the area, from the Moravian Falls area, and we really liked it. We would come back on the weekends and visit her family, and the opportunity came up. She was a special education major as well, and we met in our classes, and there were 2 jobs open that we found out about, so we decided to both apply, and she started working at Wilkesboro Elementary School as a special educator, and then there was an opportunity at Wilkes Central High School, and I started teaching and coaching at Wilkes Central, and so that's kind of how we ended up back here.
So we kind of fast forward. I want to turn just a little bit, and you talked about another key role that you and the Health Foundation, Heather Murphy, and some others, just a tremendous contribution to making life better here. Go to that for a little bit, if you will.
Okay. One of my duties at the central office is to work in healthful living, which working with PE and health teachers on helping them come up with funds or equipment and also curriculum and things like that to make sure that we follow Department of Public Instruction policies and procedures. But also, to work with those kids, we want to have a really strong program. And so I've been a part of this Wilkes Healthy Action Team, which Heather Murphy kind of got started with the Health Foundation. We also, Ann Absher from the Health Department's involved, and Jen Wages from the Health Foundation. We kind of got rolling, and we had some discussions about working on obesity in our children, and that led to a couple other things, and us going to a leadership academy in Atlanta on public health, and things just kind of got rolling along, and we ended up getting a $450,000 grant, which is going to go toward new PE equipment and training our teachers in SPARK PE, which is a curriculum research-based program to help address childhood obesity. And that's going to be implemented in our elementary schools this coming year. So our teachers are really excited about that. We've got great PE and health teachers in Wilkes County schools. They're going to go through a 2-day training and to expand their knowledge and try to implement this and see if we can't improve our data in the area of childhood obesity and not just try to fix band-aid the problem, but develop our kids develop healthful habits throughout their life, help with medical costs and become more productive, better employees because they don't miss as many days with health issues. We want to try to, that is a problem that we're seeing in the country today, as you know, with health costs rising, and trying to develop, lifelong learners, but also lifelong healthy habits so we can remain effective adults.
So you'll be involved in workshops to help our teachers have a new piece of curriculum to help not only children but their families and friends and lifestyle changes maybe.
Yes, well, we start those actually this coming Monday and Tuesday, 22nd, 23rd at Mountain View. We've got a Spark PE curriculum specialist coming, and all the elementary PE teachers will be there, and we're going to learn how to do this program over 2 days, and we're going to take it back out to the schools and start implementing it right away. So we're really excited about that.
And I can sense your enthusiasm and excitement and how you'll develop more relationships and engage people in the importance of not only sports under the lights on the field, but that everyone can get better.
Right, and we're my role, of course, is with the children, but the Wilkes Healthy Action Team, we're really looking at trying to help overall community health. We have some new farmers markets, different ideas that we can help implement and maybe get some grants and get some things rolling to really help the overall health of our community.
The turn from teacher coach to athletics director, when did that start, and how, just walk through that with us, that turn in your career.
Okay. I was at West Wilkes at the time. I was the head boys basketball coach. And Tom Jones was our athletic director at the time. And I had worked with Tom when he was kind of covering for him when he was out, and kind of acted as his assistant athletic director for a couple of years, and thought maybe that might be something I want to get into, just loving the sports. And so I had a great mentor, and after doing that a couple of years, and when he retired, interviewed for the position and actually received it. And that was a big eye opener for me because that's a lot of responsibility. I don't think a lot of people understand what goes into game management and getting everything ready from the fields to lining up the officials to as a coach, a little bit about that, but when you run an overall program, it definitely changed. It was an eye opener for me. So I really enjoyed it. But I've had good mentor, and working with the North Carolina Athletic Directors Association, which offers classes. I began a network of other athletic directors, and that really helped me out. So I wouldn't change a thing. It's been a great ride, and I've really enjoyed it.
So that then segued into county athletics director?
Yes, I was at West Wilkes for 13 years as athletic director.
Oh,
I was
great.
there for 16 years. And just a position opened at the Wilkes County Board of Education, and I interviewed for that. I think for a time we were operating in our county almost like 4 different districts, and nobody was really on the same page. And it had been a while since we, maybe had somebody full time that was dedicated to athletics in a way. So it was really great to come in, develop a handbook, some policy books, work with the athletic directors, and so that it was pretty smooth transition, but it was different because you're working with all different schools, and you've got all the ADs here who do a great job, but each district with booster clubs, everybody runs a little bit differently, but you really do learn a lot even when I transitioned downtown.
How long have you been the county athletic director?
I'm entering into my 4th year.
4th year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, if you will, Chris Skabo, give us an overview of athletics. The percent of children who play, how many sports, and just give us a frame, if you will, of athletics under your oversight.
Okay. We have, roughly 10,000 students in Wilkes County schools. Our high schools probably have around 3,000 students. We insure about 1,055 kids this year in high school, so that's roughly a third. 35% of our kids are playing athletics. Middle school, we're a little less than that, probably around 700 that we insure, but we have less kids in the middle schools as well. So probably 1/3 of our kids are playing sports, and that's really good. There's all kind of studies about how extracurricular activities can help you, and there's a lot of things that you can learn out on the ball field that aren't taught in the classroom. But not only just athletics, we've got a lot of kids. That doesn't include all the kids that are involved in band and chorus and all these other extracurricular activities too. So, I'd say way over half of our kids in Wilkes County schools are involved in something extracurricular, which we're really proud of.
Over half?
Yes.
How about that? Back to the physical sports, medical physicals, and things of that nature. I'm sure that's part of your responsibility. Every child must have a physical. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, the policies have gotten a lot stricter over the years. There's been a lot of high-profile things with some deaths and some catastrophic injuries across the country, and heat, and of course our athletes. They're better athletes now today than ever been. They're very strong. They're quicker, but that's harder on the body in certain areas too. So. Our ADs do a great job of maintaining all that paperwork. It used to be a physical was good for 365 days, but actually the state changed that this year. It's 395 due to insurance. Because a lot of times somebody's policy would not do a physical, but once every 365 days, well, that would leave a kid out of practice or a game for a year. So I really commend the sports medical committee that advises the High School Athletic Association that said, we can go back 30 days on this, and that's easier on parents, so they can have their copay taken care of or whatnot. But our athletic directors and coaches, they do a great job with that paperwork because we're actually audited on things like that.
That's good.
Every year by the High School Athletic Association. Also, the school system goes through financial audits, and they also audit things like concussions. We have to have every parent, coach, volunteer, student athlete sign a concussion waiver form saying they understand what a concussion is. There's all kind of protocol now to come back from concussions, and we have to hold on to that paperwork for 5 years even after the kid graduates. So it's good to have great people in place, middle school and high school athletic directors who have to maintain all that. We also have first responders at our high school, which kind of oversee football practices. They're required by law to have a first responder
Is
there.
that the same thing as a trainer?
Not necessarily, no. Trainers are licensed, but that's something that we're kind of looking into. We'd like to maybe move toward finding funding for an athletic trainer at every high school, and maybe we could spend a day or so at the middle school, because with the way, of course, litigation and negligence, and it's just harder to keep up with things like that. And a licensed athletic trainer I don't think you really could put a price tag on that because, of course, they're experts in their field. And so we're actually looking into possibilities with down the future. That's something that I'd like to see.
A couple weeks ago, you spoke about the addition of sixth grade. Share with our folks today the impact and how that's going to work.
Well, we kind of got the news about sixth graders coming into being eligible for athletics really late in the game. It was the first week of August. Came down from the North Carolina School Boards Association that was allowed. But because it's so late in the game, with the way our conference is set up, we have 7th grade teams and 8th grade teams in basketball. We have one team in certain areas. So it's really too late in the game for us to implement 6th graders this year. And also, you have to take into consideration the people that are in your league too, because we're in the league with, Yadkin County, Ashe County, Elkin, Allegheny, Ashe. And those schools do not have 6th graders on their middle school campuses. So they would have to bus their 6th graders from the elementary schools to the middle schools for practice and games. Allegheny already does that with their kids because they're K-8 schools. But so that's just one of the logistics you have to look at, because that's a lot of extra funding, to transport those kids every single day. Class time they might be missing, extra class time, because to go to a ball game, they're going to have to be bused to the middle school, and then the middle school will have to leave the middle school to travel to, say, Wilkes County. And so logistically, we didn't have enough time to work things out. And so that's something that we're going to work with all of our neighbors that we're in the conference with and try to come up with a plan, see if we can make it work for next year.
Recruiting and hiring coaches. That's, I'm sure, part of your, and I know that in our communities, I was talking to one of your coaches the other day, and 5 of his 8 coaches are folks who are professionals in the community who are not teachers. Yeah. And so that wonderful part of these things work because we have great coaches and leaders. Right. Talk about how just a little bit about what's involved in hiring a coach or finding the coaches, if you will.
Well, of course, we like to have coaches that are in the school all day long. Sure. Build those relationships with those kids, see them at lunchtime, check in with their teachers. It just makes it really, really smooth. It's able to keep up their paperwork. It's a lot better communication-wise. But in today's world, as we know, it's harder to find good teachers, harder to find coaches. So we really rely on a lot of community people. We couldn't operate our sports programs without them, especially in the middle schools. We do have a lot in the high schools. It's becoming more and more prevalent that way. But it's not easy to find people that are willing to put everything that's required of you as a teacher, and then you've got to go spend an extra 3 hours afterwards, and you have a family that you're trying to juggle. And of course, we all know it doesn't pay very well, but that people don't really go into it for the pay. They go into it to be with the kids. But it does help to when the gas is paid for to get you back and forth to where you're going. So it is tougher and tougher. I think our principals do a really good job of bringing good people in, and coaches have to recruit assistant coaches sometimes and volunteer coaches from the community. Yep. And they do a great job too. You have that screening process, and then they have to go through our HR department and have background checks and all that kind of stuff done. So you have to find somebody with a clean background, but also they're going to have a positive influence on the kids, and they have to be trustworthy, responsible. The coach has to count on them being there for practice. So our principals do a really good job of screening those people and interviewing them. I've been involved in not every coach interview, but some high school football coaches and basketball coaches and things like that. But otherwise, I kind of leave that to the principals and the athletic directors at their respective schools to handle that.
One coach said that the first attribute that he looks for in a coach is does he or does she care about the child? And I thought that was a great place to start, Chris Skabo.
Yeah, you have to have that. You have to be in it for the right reasons. A lot of people might be into it for the title of coach, and they might have something to satisfy their
Right.
ego or somewhat, but they have to have a deep desire for kids. And that's why you have to be in this business. That's what makes our kids grow, flourish. You have to put the kids first, and that's what we look for in our teachers, all of our staff, even no matter what job you do for the schools. If you're a custodian or if you're the electrician, it doesn't matter. There's people there for the kids. I mean, that's why they want to get that air conditioner fixed. That's why we want to have that hallway clean for those kids. And so no matter what duty we're trying to fill in the school system, we want people, that to be the underlying factor of why they want to come work for Wilkes County Schools.
Fundraising, supplemental monies that must be generated for programs, and the volunteers who are willing to do that. Just touch on that segment of a great athletics program.
Well, one thing I think a lot of people don't realize, Gary, is the little amount of funding that our schools receive for athletics. Our high schools receive about $6,000 apiece, and middle schools $3,000, which we're very grateful for because that helps us get started every year. And but otherwise, funding has to be generated through a wide range of areas, from booster clubs raising money to each sport doing a fundraiser, selling maybe what's called a win-win card, through money raised at the gate, and all your sports. So fundraising is a key because obviously we don't raise enough money to pay for officials and the fields, paint, fertilizer, official security, equipment, football helmets, baseballs, golf balls. The list goes on and on. I think most of our budgets in our high schools run over probably over $100,000, with every booster club minimally contributing over $25,000.
$25,000.
Just to make ends meet. So, and that's in addition to all these other fundraisers that are done. We appreciate the community because we know the community and our businesses in the community are bombarded over and over and over by different kids and raising money, either to go to camp or, for a piece of equipment that they need. And so without the people in the community supporting these fundraisers that all of our kids do, even from the time they're kindergarten all the way through, whether it's sports or not, we couldn't have all the opportunities that our kids are getting without those fundraisers. And we really thank our booster clubs athletically because, again, you would have to have some sports cut out. You couldn't fund everything that was needed to run a program. So fundraising is a key for every avenue that we have athletically.
There are situations with youngsters who have no money, and because of the community, we find a way for that child to go. That's why we have servants' hearts and people like you that it's a challenge, but it's how we want to live. It's what we're going to do to help people.
It is, and I think that was evident when we spoke to the Rotary Club the other night. You heard our head football coaches talk about how kids don't have rides to practice, how they don't have cleats, money to get a physical, or so on and so forth. We heard some great speeches from those football coaches last week, and it's not just the football coaches, but all our coaches. They'll make sure those kids are taken care of, whether it's a meal, a ride home, pair of shoes, cleats, school supplies, whatever it takes. That's our coaches, just like we talked about earlier, the bottom line is care for the kids. Yeah. And I feel confident that all of our coaches are in there for the right reasons, and if a kid was needy in some, they would either get it for them personally or they would find a way to take care of that kid, and not just a kid but also the family.
Yeah, it's a labor of love, and all of us that have had some experience after the bell rings at 3 o'clock will know that there's that special person that we will remember a moment that might have saved a life. You know,
Oh, yeah.
a compliment, a pat on the back,
Yes.
or a ride home will pick you up. So the folks that serve our system are selfless, and there's countless opportunities they have, but they find a way to make it work. And back to Rotary, your head coaches were there, and boy, I just was so inspired by the quality of people in that room, and that they would come out to the Rotary Club, a significant contributor in our neighborhood. And how'd you feel? Just tell us how you sat there. You must have said, "Wow, how this can get any better than this."
It really does. I mean, first, you got to thank the Rotary Club for having us, because they are taking interest in our kids and in our programs, and they want to hear how our programs are doing. But we've been doing this for a few years now, and when the coaches get up there, and they don't really talk about wins and losses. If you'll know that,
Yeah.
everybody, some people want to know that, how many kids got coming back, and how's the season outlook, and of course the coaches, they want to win more than anybody. But I think you'll agree with this. The focus of what those guys were saying was, how great the kids are. We're trying to make them young men for when they get out of here, they become productive citizens in our communities. And that was the focus from every one of those coaches.
It was.
And that made me so proud, because of course everybody loves a winner, but you got winners outside the ball field as well. And we want to make winners in life. That's what we're about, and that's what our coaches are doing.
Thank you. Chris Skabo, eligibility. A child must perform in the classroom to play on the field. What is that, just briefly for us?
Well, it's kind of changed. Middle school, you still have to pass. You have to have an attendance component to that too, 85%, but also 3/4 of your classes or whatever. But it's kind of been dropped in high school because you have to be promoted. They've kind of left that up to the LEAs. So you do have to have the grades to play, and I totally agree with that. I mean, if you're not performing here, you're going to have to perform. You're not going to get to perform on a high school level,
right,
or middle school level. But we really don't have to worry about that in Wilkes County schools. I mean, our overall GPA for our varsity teams combined last year was like a 3.334. Wow. And so, and most of our kids, are 3.5 students or higher, believe it or not. They're over that. So, but as a team, we had a couple teams win the GPA title. The High School Athletic Association gives a title for a championship for having the highest GPA as like your football team, and it's 1A, 2A, 3A, 4. It's all combined, and so. I think we had some teams at Wilkes Central and West to win those. So a football team at West, I think maybe the soccer team, or at Central. So we plus a couple others, and so also finishing second and third. So we're really proud of what our kids do in the classroom.
Chris Skabo, we're coming down to the wire, and the comment a few minutes ago about winning in life. I'm sure your life has been embraced and enhanced, and how the good that comes from giving and sharing and caring. If you will, the last minute here, just let us know how the gratitude you have for this opportunity, and how much better your life is because you were a teacher and a coach and a parent.
Well, I think, of course, it started with my coaches, and I saw how my coaches loved interacting with the kids, and how much I enjoyed that, and I wanted to get that same satisfaction, because I guess I'm a kid at heart. Always love being around, whether it's my own kids or somebody else's, just watching kids develop, watching them grow. You can't put a price tag on watching a kid who can't do something very well, and then they work and they work and they work in practice, and they work in their games, and then they train at home, and then they go to a facility and work, and then they come back, and then they become an all-conference player, or become a valedictorian, or they go on to be an engineer, and they come back and they see you, and they come and they thank you, for putting the time in with them and how much they enjoyed playing. You can't put a price tag on that. I wouldn't trade my career for anything, because I've been so blessed as a person to have all the interaction with all the great coaches that I've worked with, the athletic directors that I work with now, and principals and central office staff, but the kids
And you're
really.
carrying that forward. The ones that gave it to you, now the opportunity for you to continue to give.
Yeah.
Winning in life. What an honor today to have
Yeah.
you with us, and again to thank Wilkes Communications and RiverStreet Productions and 109 FM, and God bless you, friend. What an
Thank
honor
you
to
for
have
having
you
me,
here.
Gary. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.